well, there was two lads stood at the Fran's car. Yeah? When these two Pat come walking in. So one of the lads said to the Fran's, to the Pat, do you fancy Nigel Spink? And she said, I'd love a Nigel Spink. So they went back to the Fran's car and he ordered 2 bottles of Mickey Mills. So 2 bottles of Mickey Mills, and he turned around to the Pat and he said, oh, you've got a lovely Jimmy case. He said, but you're a bit Alan Ball, aren't you? And she said, yeah, it's the Mark Hughes I'm wearing. So his mate said, listen, I'm just fucking off to the John Fashionable from Matlatis. So his mate fucked off to John Fashionable from Matlatis. He turned around to Pat he said, do you fancy coming back to John Pratt for a cup of Bill Roffey? He said, I'd love to come back to John Pratt for a cup of Bill Roffey. He said, listen, I'll get on the Brian LeBarn and order a Neil McNabb. So he gets on the Brian LeBarn, orders a Neil McNabb, and they go back to the John Pratt. So when they get back to John Pratt, they go through the front door and he says, why don't you have a sit down on the Peter Bonetti? So she sits, that's my favourite, the Peter Bonetti,
The settee?
That's my favourite, the Peter Bonetti. So why don't you have a sit down on the Peter Bonetti? So she sits down on the Peter Bonetti. He goes in the Peter kitchen, he comes out with 2 cups of Francis Lee. He puts them on the coffee table and sits down next to the Pat Herder. And he said to the Pat Herder, he said, why don't you come a bit Alan Shearer? So she comes a bit Alan Shearer. And he said to her, he said, any chance of a Teddy Maybank? And the Pat Herd said, oh yeah, I'll give you a Teddy Maybank, no problem. And he went, oh, this is Glen Hoddle. This is a Glen Hoddle, I'm going to Davy Puckett. And he said, listen, why don't we get in the Bobby Moore? So they get in the Bobby Moore. And they're just about to start and all that. And she said to him, he said, are you on the Rick Eel? She said, no, I'm not on the Rick Eel. He said, you'll have to wear an Adrian Heath. So he puts his hand down there. He went, oh, he said, you've got a lovely Roger Hunt. He said, and he puts his head down there. He said, but oh, Colin Bell's a bit down there, doesn't it? And she said, yeah, I've got a touch of Ian Rush.